How do you find local businesses to partner with, and what does the pitch look like? Are you getting paid for these? Do you still use something like a media kit? What does your content creation setup look like when you go into these businesses?
What are the metrics that people care about?
Welcome back to The Sustainable Creator. We are here today with Belle Grubb, who is an author, podcast host, and a content creator based in Salt Lake City, Utah. She has a lot that she's going to share with us today about working with local brands. And we're probably going to get into brand partnership territory a little bit. So this is for anyone who is curious about what does it look like to start working with local businesses and possibly other brands. And we're really excited to dive in. So welcome to the podcast, Belle.
I am so beyond excited to be here. You guys are the best.
Right back at you. All right. Did we miss anything from that intro? Anything you want to add?
Nope, that was perfect.
Part of the reason we want to have this conversation with you is because you have recently moved across the country and been embedding yourself in Salt Lake. And it's been so interesting watching how you are rapidly collaborating with businesses locally. And I think just to kind of set the stage at a big picture level for anyone listening to this, what's the actual point in collaborating with local businesses if you're running your own business?
100%. And so, one, I think there is the side of genuine community that is irreplaceable. So, like you said, we were moving across the country. We were leaving all of our family and friends and going to a place that we knew no one, basically. And so, when we came here, we kind of had the option to either just sit and do our own thing in our own corner. Both of us, my husband and I, work from home. Or we could integrate ourselves into the new city that we're living in and invest in the city. So I really wanted to, one, create a audience base that was local to me, so that way there were real life connections available, but at the same time show up and support the businesses that have been out here working so hard. And as someone who's a transplant coming in, wanting to spotlight and highlight them so that way they felt as seen and supported and excited. And that's kind of what my intention going in was, is how can we highlight the people who have been here doing the hard work to the best of my ability, and anyone else who's in the same boat as me, also moving to a new city, what can I do to create a resource for them so that way when they move here, they have something to build off of and say, oh, I want to try this. I want to go here. I want to do this. And it's not necessarily having to start from ground zero. So there's a lot of reasons and it's kind of all encompassing, but I think each one of them is so important.
Mm-hmm. I love the series that you have done on your Instagram account. I've only seen on Instagram, but being able to live vicariously through you on going to the local coffee shops and the one place that had all of the, you could like design a hat or something that looked so fun. I loved that. How do you find local businesses to partner with, and what does the pitch look like? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so there's kind of two ways. One, it's like old fashioned driving down the street, 100%. When we are going anywhere, I am actively looking around at places that are popping out to me, whether that is a mom and pop shop, whether that is a restaurant, a coffee shop, whatever that is, and trying to figure out if that's something that would fit into my niche, but also how can I best support them? So there's very much so like hands-on gritty work of just being out and about. And when I'm in a coffee shop, asking for the manager and saying, hey, have you guys ever done a social media highlight or spotlight? And that in-person connection goes 10 times further than anything else. Also picking up the phone. This is something that I personally don't do, but my husband is crazy good at, actually calling in and not just sending an email, not just sending a DM, because there is a lot of space for that right now where anyone can do that and everyone is. So making yourself stand out by kind of doing some of the more traditional sales outreach that we used to see, of the door to door, the phone calls, all of that. And people love it. They're able to put a face with the name instantly, and it does create so much more of relational equity in that moment. So that has been massive. But at the same time, social media is a great place to also find other people on social media. So just kind of looking up my geotags, my location, seeing what places are active on social media and how I can participate within their community they've already built, rather than maybe starting from scratch. So that has been really fun, finding them on social media and then DMing them. And I I don't know if this is something you guys would want, but I can even send you the pitch that I created for them. It's short, it's sweet, it's great. And so you just introduce yourself quickly, because honestly, they're going to click on your page anyways. So you don't need some long-winded explanation of who you are. And you instantly tell them what you can do for them. It's not, can I get something from you? Can I get a free coffee? Can I get comp to visit? Can you pay me for this video? Nothing like that. Because if it is coming from a place of selfish ambition, no one is going to want to work with you. And so I would open up with, I just moved to Salt Lake City, and I would love to do a spotlight series on my favorite places that I'm discovering after moving here. And I have been obsessed with you guys. I've been loving everything you're doing. I would love to feature you in this. And I got such amazing responses. Everyone was so excited because it was a part of something. It was joining a movement of sorts rather than just a one-off collaboration, and kind of creating this culture of, we're going to build something together and it's going to be amazing. It's going to reach these people with intention, and giving that intention right away rather than waiting for them to ask for it. And then also following up with, if there is more that I can do for you, I would love to. And that question right there has opened so many doors, so many.
That's interesting. Okay. So I want to come back to the phone call for a second, because that can feel really intimidating to do. And I love that your husband does it and that you suggested doing it. I think it is a great way to go about it. But I'm thinking about someone picking up the phone and doing that move, and someone answers, and you get to the first question, and then after that, you just stall because you have no idea what to say. What advice do you have for the phone conversation?
I will give you the exact template. It is, I am loving your social media, or if they don't have a social media presence, I went past you. However you found them, okay? You're going to start with that. Who runs your social media platforms in your store? And if you're talking to the manager, usually them, sometimes they'll say owner, and then you can say, I would love to get in contact with them because I have a really cool idea on something we can do to spotlight and highlight and promote your business. Who can I talk to about that? And then you get the phone number for the next person, or you get the email or whatever. So if you get the phone number for the person who's running the social media, that's when you call them and you kind of do that same beginning part again, where you're like, I have an idea for you. And then you have the moment. And this is what I think is so important. You have to vision cast with them. You have to dream big with the person you're talking to, instead of just jumping into the actual nitty gritty of it all. And there's a quote that I absolutely love is, you have to sell the vacation, not the plane ride, right? So lots of times we want to jump in and be like, I would love to come create content for you. I'll need this comp. I'll need this payment. I'll need this many days to edit, because that's what we're living in. But that's not what they want to hear, because they want you to come in so they don't have to think about all that. You're taking the place of all that. So what you need to do instead is say, I have a great idea to promote and get your business in front of a new audience that maybe isn't seeing you right now. And I think this could be really cool for people who are coming on vacation to this city, or maybe they are just moved to this city, or they're a local who hasn't heard of this before. And I think we can do something really cool together. And that right there is the kind of your hook in. And then when they say, okay, what does this look like? Have somewhat of a plan. If you're just batch cold calling all these random places and then you get surprised when someone answers and then wants to know what you want to do, that's on you. So have somewhat of a plan of a video idea of, mine is usually a vlog style video where I go in and I try whatever their signature experience is, whether that's a coffee or some sort of event, whatever. And I talk about that experience, highlight them in the caption, and then point people towards that with, the geotag and the correct hashtags. And they love it. And it's an easy buy-in for them. And it's an easy way to create a relationship that can actually go further.
I want to piggyback on that part at the end there, because I think the thing that's interesting is if someone has never done this before, there's a lot of questions of like, what does the format of this look like? Or what is the hook that I'm pitching? And like you talked about the idea of, I'm new to Salt Lake City and I want to show people I'm learning about this place. And for you, it's a vlog. For you, have you seen a couple of other like formats or hooks that work really well if you're pitching this type of thing?
100%. So you do have the UGC side, which is the user generated content. And that is really helpful because you're going to go in and create content that they get to repurpose. So my content that I make is for my platform and I will collaborate with them and they are more than welcome to repost it. But it's not necessarily for their marketing purposes on their behalf. So if you pitch yourself and say, I would love to come in and do photos or videos or create faceless content that you then get to repurpose and use as if it is your own on your website, your email, your social media platforms. That is a weight off of these shoulders that are usually managers or owners of these small businesses that are having to manage social media, which is a full-time job. And that is their 15th responsibility. So if you again are able to say, how can I serve you? Can I come in and take off some of this content for you? Just last night, actually, we went to the Salt Lake Bees minor league baseball game. And the ask was, we don't need a post, we don't need anything. Can you just get content as if you're there, put it all the videos and photos into a Google Drive and then send it to us afterwards. So that way we can repurpose the content. And that's an easy win for both of us. I get to go to a fun game. They get to have all this extra content to use. So that is a really easy way that even if you don't want to use your platform, you can still put your foot in this door.
Hey, real quick, do you ever listen to a podcast and you get to the end and you're really excited about it, but you have no idea where to start? Well, we took what we talked about here with Belle and we turned it into a 2-page workbook that you can just download and fill in the blanks in that workbook and get started on pitching a local business right away. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description below to download that workbook. And now back to the interview.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question everybody is thinking. Are you getting paid for these?
Great question. Depends. Okay. Truthfully, it depends. There are some things that I just genuinely love doing and I just want to be a part of. So you mentioned the hat bar with all the patches at the beginning of this conversation. That comes from the Gem Studio. I just love being in a place. I actually made this ring there. So fun.
Cute.
So fun. And I love the experience. We're going to pick up some pottery we made. And like I said, the Salt Lake Bees game, so many fun experiences that I want to do. So I'm going to go do that in exchange for content because it builds my life up. With that being said, when this starts to snowball a little bit, sometimes people reach out to me, or even as I'm reaching out to others, if it's not something that either genuinely I want to be doing or the ask is bigger, because when you ask, what more can I do for you? They say, actually, I have some ideas. That is when we start the process for payment, for me personally, at least. So I love to do your initial video for free, or in exchange for the product experience. But then if we're going to build on it, let's start adding in that monetary value. So from this, I have had the opportunity to create month-long contracts. So every single month we're extending, and they're signing up to 12 months right now for me to come in and create UGC content for them because of that relational equity that was built in that moment. So all of those are now paid. That is all now income coming into my pocket because of this pitch.
That's awesome. I am curious. You've mentioned UGC, obviously the series that you've done for posts on your own account. Are there other versions of partnerships that have happened for you throughout all of this?
Yeah, there's been some amazing ones as far as we were invited out to go sit with the owners at the Premier Lacrosse League because they're trying to make lacrosse a thing out here in Utah.
That's awesome.
And so, again, not even necessarily with anything besides networking. There have been lots of influencer events that have kind of come about from this where I got to go hang out with Tarani, who is that coffee syrup. And they had us out at a pop-up. So there's definitely more and more invites that come along with this. And then again, that community focus of, I now have this entire new group of people that I get to hang out and call my friend because I came into their shop and recorded, and now we have game nights. So it is really cool to see the doors that open up for all these other opportunities because of this series.
When I think about some of this, like we talked about phone calls, you also talked about they're probably going to look at your Instagram or socials to like validate that you're a real human that can actually deliver on the promises you're making. If you think about the foundations that are needed to actually make your first pitch, what do you think is actually necessary that you need to have in place?
I love this. I personally work for Mini Social. and that is a UGC platform or you can post on it. But basically, it connects your company to creators. Okay. And my role within that is to select which creators can move forward with a company. So all of the creators will opt in to these collaboration or products or whatever. And then I pick which ones go through so that way the company can decide on their final few. And so I actually do this at part-time and I choose what creators are moving forward. And what I look for are a couple things. One, you would be shocked on how many people use AI for their voiceovers. Mm-mm. I need to
That
know
is
it's a human
surprising to
talking
me.
behind that. And it is a shocking amount of people who are out here using AI voiceovers. That's not helpful. I need a human touch to it. Another thing, you guys got to clean your cameras. Oh my goodness, the amount of smudgy where it's like if you would just wipe that off, this would be a beautiful shot, but it's smudgy. I can tell
2
you did
seconds.
not clean your camera lens. That's tough. Two, I think that a well-written caption is completely oversaturated right now with AI. And you can tell when it's AI. And when I don't mind you using AI or ChatGPT or whatever to write a caption because I think it is a time saver. But here's the thing, I need your voice in it still. Use it as your first draft, tweak it, make it your own. Because if it looks copy and pasted, I have literally seen captions where it says, would you like to tweak this prompt further? Oh my goodness. Like you're showing me no effort. I need to see a little more effort here. So small subtle tweaks like that. I treat Instagram, TikTok, whatever as a portfolio. And so when you start to think as social media, not necessarily as your everyday user, but as a portfolio for UGC opportunities, what that means is you need to be putting out your best work. I need to see some videos. I need to see some photos. I need to see some stories highlighted. I have to see the diversity of who you are. And that's not because you need to be in a specific niche or anything like that, but because I need to see what you actually offer as a creator. So talking videos are super important. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your personality. Those captions that actually have who you are in there is really important. And then just making sure your content, even if it's not perfect, it's clean.
And I think the interesting turn is most of our audience that we work with, they're creative service providers. They are running a business on top of thinking about some of this. And I'm curious from your perspective of like someone that is actively considering, are you a good fit for a brand? How does that work if someone's running a business in addition to thinking about maybe a brand partnership could fit in between all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, I think sometimes you think you can't do it because it's a business that you're running. So why would a brand partner with me? But actually, that positions you to be an extremely unique asset that maybe not everyone's thinking of. And so I have lots of real estate agents that run really great Instagrams because that's how they get their business out there. But they have this unique opportunity to really partner with a lot of home brands, a lot of lawn care brands, a lot of really just like this whole world of kitchen is so untapped for them because guess what? You can say, the number one thing I bring to my showing is this XYZ kitchen product, and it is the perfect showstopper to add to this home that I want to sell. That is such a unique take. And brands are looking for something niche or unique to spin on it. And again, that doesn't mean that you have to live in that niche and niche alone, because I do also then have real estate agents who will work with Rocket Money and they're out here talking about budgeting. You have a way to tie that in. You don't have to only talk about houses and house product, but you have a different perspective that maybe not everyone else is coming to you with. And that is really cool. So I think knowing what you bring to the table and again, giving it 30 seconds of thought of how you could actually use this. And that's where I go back to if you're cold calling all these companies and then they actually say, okay, what are your ideas? And you're like, great question. That's not great. So know what you bring to the table and have that kind of predetermined.
Okay. I love that you brought up mini social because I was telling Lyndon before this that it's really cool to me how you sit on both sides of the table, so to speak. You know the back end of what it's like to intentionally choose content creators for these brands to consider. And you also experience what it's like to be a content creator working with brands. And I'm curious, what makes a local partnership with local businesses different than a standard brand or influencer partnership like most people tend to think of?
Yeah, I think it's that personal connection. It's actually sitting with someone face to face. And when you have these local partnerships, usually they are with smaller businesses. And that means that you are sitting in the room with the person who founded it or the person who's managing it. And you're not having to, work with the influencer marketing team that is 10 people away from the CEO and founder. So you have you just are uniquely positioned to sit with someone who has so much passion about what they're talking about. And that has nothing to do but rub off on you. And you get to sit there and then get excited with them about their love, their baby, their business. And when you have that connection, your content expresses that. And it's so fun to be able to meet with owners and know the difference that you're actually making for their business. So that way when, it's different when Swiffer sends you a package in the mail and you're like, great, I get to film this and then it's exchanged for $500, woohoo. That feels a lot more disconnected. It's a little bit more impersonal where this is so up close.
Yeah, I love that it ties into you mentioned the phrase earlier, relationship equity, and I loved that. That is such a beautiful concept to me. And bouncing off of that idea of you're getting to know the founder of the business, their heart, why they started it, their passion for what they do, and how that ties into what you then create for them. I'm curious, you know Ryan Trahan, yeah, the YouTuber. You've heard of
Yes.
him? Okay. So you probably saw his 50 States in 50 Days series last year. In an interview, I believe it was with Colin and Samir, he brought up the point that familiarity is really important to him in the flow of his videos. And so if you started to pay attention to every video in that series, there was a cadence to it that made it easy for him to produce, but it was still familiar enough for his audience to keep coming back because they knew what to expect. So it was a different state every day, different Airbnb every day. There was some newness to it, but enough familiarity that made both his job easier and the viewer more enticed to come back. Do you follow a similar approach at all when you're creating content for local businesses?
100% yes. Because that is why they said yes to you. What you presented them is the reason they trusted you to do this. So if
Mm.
I gave them a false interpretation of what they were going to get from me, that would be unethical for me as a creator. And so I am very upfront what my content looks like. And so, like I said, usually for the initial partnership, it is very vlog based. It's very my personality introducing whatever the business is, and then the experience itself, and then a recap at the end. And that follows across the entire series because it's a commitment that they expect, whether or not it's verbally agreed upon or even consciously recognized. This is their expectation of you. And truthfully, as much as I am putting in the work and I am creating content in this moment, it is for them. It is ultimately about that business. And when I go in, and if it was only what is easiest for me in this, or how can I, cut corners, that's not building them up. That's not for them. And this is where that difference is again with, the package that comes in the mail randomly for UGC. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. And it's easier to separate. But when you're sitting in front of the founder, you want to show up for them and be the best for them because they've invested in you as much as you've invested in that.
So good.
I think kind of piggybacking on that idea of investing in the relationship, you already said that like you've snowballed some of your relationships into long-term partnerships. Is there specific things that you find in that first trade or partnership that makes it easier to snowball that into something longer?
Pitching it in the moment, 100% time over time, because what I think the easiest thing to do in this would be show up, create the content, post the content, and in your follow up, say, hey, by the way, would love to do something like this again. That's like, to me, a little bit of a cop out. That is the easy way out. And not that you shouldn't do it. But when you are sitting there in the moment with the person who allowed you to come into their space and create this moment, you say, by the way, I would love to make this a monthly contract for you. What holes are you currently experiencing in your marketing or in your social media strategy? Because when you allow them to speak into it and say, man, I cannot get enough content. It doesn't matter how many times I come in here, I get distracted with all these other tasks. I don't get my photos and videos, and then it's crazy. Or the editing, oh my gosh, it just takes the soul out of me. Or the caption writing, or the post, whatever it is. They all have like the bane of their existence is something on that social media platform. And if you come in and say, in the moment, face to face, you're already serving them, you've already presented yourself as an asset. Hey, why don't I take that off your plate? Why don't I do that for you? Or why don't I help you in this? I have experienced so much success in that specifically because what I do then is I go home, I go on Canva, I create my little pitch deck, and I send them everything that they said that they wanted from me with the price. And I would say 5 times out of 10, it's working, which sounds like, oh, it's a 50-50 shot. But compared to your average outreach for UGC to get month-long contracts or year-long contracts, that is home run.
Yeah. Okay. You brought up pitch decks. Now, that sounds like it is for the follow through. Do you still use something like a media kit when you're first initiating these conversations?
No, couple of reasons why. If it's email, sometimes that attachment causes an issue and will cause your email to go straight into spam. So I've experienced it's better offering if they want, but more so focusing again, not on me, on them. What can I create for you? And also in a DM, it's awkward to have that attachment. It's awkward. It feels impersonal. It feels like a cold DM and don't love that. So I usually actually don't use a media kit at all for anything, whether that is local or a little bit more of a national brand. Instead, I focus on pointing them back to my own social media platforms as kind of a portfolio. And then I will use the pitch deck for the follow up only. And what that usually consists of, you know me, you recognize me. Here's a little bit of the other work that maybe I didn't tell you that I did that is impressive. And here's all the things I can do for you, and here's the price. And then now here's your next step. So it's a very quick 3-page pitch deck that goes over. And you got to remember, they're busy. We're talking about busy people. They don't have time to look at your rates. And half the time, they don't even know what they're looking at. So instead of bogging them down with all of these impersonal numbers that truthfully mean nothing to them, you're really personalizing this.
Okay. So how does the step-by-step process look like from the time you reach out to the time you're working with them? Because you've brought up a couple of different outreach options. So for you, what does your process look like there?
Yep. So for this series, we were moving in February. So in January, I started the DM and email process. And this was all social media based companies that were doing well on social media. And I just reached out to everyone I could find. And because I was reaching out with such a specific ask and saying, I will be there in February, would love to do this, that was when all the bookings started happening. And we were packed. There was one day we had like 4 coffees, 2 meals. It was like boom, 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 boom. It was honestly too much, if I'm going to be so for real. But we had to do what we had to do because I didn't really know that this was going to be the success that it was with all of these brands. And so it was absolutely madhouse. But for a month straight, it was just coordinating everything. We get there, create content, and the promise in the moment is 2-week turnaround. I think 2 weeks is extremely fair. I think it gives you time to, rest afterwards because it can be a lot to walk into a space and have to record the entire thing. It is hard work. And then time to edit, time to prepare everything, and then I'll ultimately post it. I do not do reviews or revisions unless it's paid. And I think that's an important note to make. And this can be casually in person. You don't need a contract. You don't need anything like this because it is just a video in exchange for an experience. And so I don't allow reviews or revisions. I have not yet experienced something where it has been bad enough where I can't post about it. And that's one question I sometimes get is, what do you do when you hate it? First of all, there's always something positive to say, always. And second of all, there's a way to have honest communication with your audience, but also walk the line of, you know, respecting the business that you were just in. I'm not going to be someone who's going to go on and trash a business or a brand. And nothing, luckily, has been bad enough where I've had to reach out to the brand and say, I'm so sorry, I can't do this. So once that 2 weeks is up, the post goes up, I do my follow up message that says either A, you said you were interested in all this, so here's that pitch deck, or B, here's the post. If there's ever an opportunity to work together in the future, I know we briefly talked about this in person. I would love to. And so from start to finish, it could probably be about a month. And yeah, that's just kind of the rhythm we follow. So the beginning of every month, I do my pitches.
And what does your content creation setup look like when you go into these businesses?
Oh, it is so chill. So chill. Again, I'm doing vlog style, so I have the opportunity to make it chill. I've probably brought my tripod a couple of times. Usually my husband's with me, and that man is a trained cameraman. We were at an event the other day, and one of the creators came up and was like, how what he did, like, deserves an award. Like, what is this? He's like getting the angles, he's like posing you, he's giving you notes, but like so respectfully and hyped. And I was like, yeah, I honestly, guys, I didn't realize that this wasn't common.
I
I
love
was
it.
like, everyone I thought had this. So that's very helpful. But tripod, super easy. And I know that there's sometimes an embarrassment level with that, but you were invited into this space. So take
Right.
up the space.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Like, pretend you've got your media pass on and you're going to do what you need to do to get the shot.
I do love that you brought up the pretend you have immediate pass on, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, do you adopt some type of secondary persona for yourself where you're able to just show up at a level of confidence that is just a notch higher?
Listen, maybe this is toxic. Okay. So, go with this with whatever grain of salt. But I genuinely do have to put on a hat of, I am someone that everyone is so excited to have in this room. And
Yeah.
when I enter that space, it's not like, oh, I'm sorry, am I an imposition to you? It's like, actually, they're so excited I'm here. They are thrilled to have me in this space. So I'm going to be who they want me to be. I'm going to be who they expect in this moment, because they're not looking for some, scared person who's like, oh, is it okay if can I take your photo? Can I do that? No, they want someone to walk in confidently because maybe they don't have the confidence of what to expect. So I'm going to be the one that comes in and says, this is what you expect. This is how we do it. And it's helpful. Again, maybe a smudge toxic, but helpful.
No, I like that a lot. I think that is really great advice personally. I also want to ask about your editing process because I love the way you edit your reels. Do you have a preferred editing app? Do you outsource to an editor? What does that process look like?
Okay, so I fear I'm one of the very few who uses edits. I don't use CapCut.
Love it.
I have gotten very fed up with CapCut and the way that you now have to pay for every aspect of it. I'm someone who wants accessibility on all my videos, so there will be captions on all my videos. And for CapCut, you get 2 caption videos a month for free. That is, to me, absolutely ridiculous. This is an accessibility thing. Not everyone has the ability to hear. They all need the ability to read. And so that to me is a massive issue. And edits does not have that problem. So, and also I'll be honest, the Adam, can't say his last name, can't remember it, the founder of Instagram or whatever, he has said for a portion of time, people who are using edits, those videos will be pushed a little bit further just because they want to encourage that use. I'm going to take, Instagram's my primary, I'm going to take whatever edge I can get there. And so I only use edits. They're really great about templated styles. So I do have templates saved. I have all my captions saved. So when I hit captions, it goes into my direct style, my branding. I use like a creamier color font for everything. I usually stick with the typing sounds and the clicking sounds. I just enjoy that type of rhythm in a video, and usually gets really good feedback. So all of that is built into edits, and I edit everything myself. I really do. So usually I do have, between UGC and my content that goes out, about 30 videos a week that have to be edited. So I break it down Tuesdays and Thursdays evenings. Those are my editing days, and I just sit down and try to get through as much as possible.
That's awesome. I need to do a little more exploring with edits. I keep realizing there's more to it than I realize. One of our
They're
members,
constantly adding.
they are. One of our members in the break room did a Tooltip Tuesday a couple weeks ago showing how she uses edits. And I had no idea that you could do sound effects and filters and a couple other things that just blew my mind. So I've been learning a lot, and you just shared a couple other things I can go look into that I didn't know existed. So I love that you use edits.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the best part, go to the templates page and you hit use template, and it is CapCut's templates to me always felt so exaggerated. It was just too much. Where these are much calmer. They're the text style, the sound effects included, the music included, and it's a little bit, and you just hit add your video, add your clip, and you can go through and add all the clips you want. And that has been extremely helpful.
Game changer.
Yeah, I know what Joe's going to be doing after this.
He's not wrong.
Curled up on a couch with her phone, staring straight at it, beep booping away.
It's true.
So I think it's interesting. Like you talked about the idea that you don't do a media kit, and oftentimes it's just they're going to look at what's already done. I think one of the most common questions I've seen when people talk about brand partnerships is what are the metrics that people care about? Like if you're not sending a media kit, like are people looking at your average views on Reels? Are people looking at your follower count? Like what is the thing that people actually look at that you found?
So it depends a bit on what the project's about. So again, going back to mini social, when I'm looking at creators, I care only about what their content itself looks like. I don't care how many followers, I don't care how many likes, I don't care how many comments, whatever. I want to see that you can create a good video or you take really high quality photos. That's all I care about. And that's leans more into the UGC side. Okay. So if you're creating content and the brand is for content, that's really all anyone should be looking at. Now, on the flip side, if it's for a partnership for your page specifically, that one naturally followers does tend to matter. Usually the benchmark that we see for that is 1,000 for you to be taken, I would say, very seriously, with the exception of if your content is stellar, there's times that you can get away with it. So the follower count matters a little bit, but then if you're getting into the nitty gritty with a brand, almost every time what they care about is my gender breakdown, my age breakdown, and how much of my audience is based in the United States. So I have a very large following in Canada, UK, and South Africa. So those three skew my numbers to the point where my United States audience is only about 76%. That actually hinders me quite a bit. But where I come back is my split between men and women. I have about a 93% women and 7% men. Brands tend to like that because women respond to social media ads a little bit stronger for things that usually I'm posting about. So there's ways that all matters and measures, but those are usually the schematics that brands care about because it's a game. And the algorithm could kill any video and can boost any video. I have a collab that went out with Hydro Flask, 500,000 views. So random. But then I've got other collabs that technically they paid more and they're sitting in 200 view jail. So brands are learning it's a game. They're learning it. And so they're going to care less about the views and the likes and stuff. And also that's where boosting comes in, is the whitelisting, the ad usage rights, the boosting rights, all of that. And that's why, yes, you want to charge more if someone wants to whitelist because they are putting your name out there on their behalf. But at the same time, it can be advantageous for you as well.
Yeah, it can be. We had an experience with that through Mini Social, actually. We did a brand partnership with a company and got paid for that. And then they reached out to us and said, hey, we would like to whitelist. And we negotiated a rate that was
much higher,
very decent. It was a nice paycheck for a couple of months, and then they kept wanting to extend it, and it worked really well for us. But before that, that was such a new thing, realizing that was an option that could even be considered, which was really cool.
I think the other interesting thing, this is not about like partnering with local businesses, but like where UGC, I'm starting to see it pop up is like in e-commerce stores on the sales pages, which is fascinating. And like views does not matter at all. But when someone goes to the product, they're like, oh, this is what it actually looks like with a real human. And from what I've seen numbers wise, those sales pages do a lot better.
And it's going to be interesting to see the way that AI pulls this type of
Mhm.
information off of social media and these types of videos where you're highlighting something. And when someone asks ChatGPT, what is the best product for this? Where is AIO going? Where it's going to pull your video for that, and then how much does that matter to the brand? Because it should matter significantly, but how are we measuring? So there's a whole new world coming in that we don't know yet.
So interesting.
I think the other thing that, as we're kind of wrapping up like main body questions here, is thinking about partnering with a local business. How much do you think it matters going into those businesses and tagging them in content so their social media manager or owner is starting to see your name popping up before you have any sort of conversation about partnering with them?
So for me personally, zero. I didn't live here. So I couldn't be tagging them. I couldn't be interacting with them before my asks. With that being said, I do think that there are, especially more in the food and coffee shop space, because it's a little bit lower bar to entry. It's not like a store or, an experience where it's one and done necessarily. I think it matters much more to them that you do come in, have a cup of coffee, talk about it, and then when they repost it. And actually, there's a baker that's local that we're in negotiation with right now. And it started because Matt was driving down the street and was like, oh my gosh, sourdough, I need this. Stopped, talked to her. And she was like, yeah, I have like 200 followers on Instagram. And he was like, oh, we can help you with this. And then was negotiating over Venmo, like the comments. Okay, kid you not, this is actually happening.
That's amazing.
And so, it was so iconic. Guys, you guys just you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? And so now we're in talks with her, and I tagged her and everything. And so she came back to the Venmo comments and was like, oh my gosh, just saw the Instagram. Would love to talk further. Here's my email. So really just engaged in the community, which happens naturally when you're working on partnerships already. You just are more in that world. You're thinking about it more, and it's easier to get involved in those ways.
I am now just mentally squirreling this away as an example of like we've been talking about make the sale in the place the conversation's happening. And this is now my new favorite example of this.
Venmo comments, man.
Venmo comments.
Shout out to Matt. All right. Are we ready for lightning round?
I think we are.
Okay. This has been so good. So we like to end our podcast episodes with a lightning round. We just have rapid fire questions. And the first one is,
are you reading a book currently?
Oh man, am I reading a book currently? So sadly, no, okay. The book I'm reading, I'm not thrilled with.
Okay.
I'm not. It's called Axiom. I was told it was like Divergent. I love a good like kind of dystopian story.
Isn't that like YA dystopia?
Yeah, kind of that vibe. I used to rate every book 5 stars because I felt bad for the author. Okay. I felt like they were gonna see my review, and as an author, I just couldn't do it. And now I have flipped the switch, and I'm brutally honest. And it is my worst ranked book of the year. So I just, guys, I know, and I feel like that's so disappointing for me to tell you that I just finished reading last night my worst book of the year.
No, that's okay. That is a bummer. What was the most recent recommended book that you enjoyed?
I have a fiction and nonfiction. First of all, fiction, The Gracier, well done, very interesting, kind of again dystopian, Hunger Games, Handmaid's Tale feel to it. Love that. My nonfiction is Herding Tigers. Have you guys read it?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Herding Tigers. And it's about working with creative people because everyone always says it's like herding cats. And the comment is, no, it's herding tigers. And it is brilliant. It is so well done. One of my top reads.
Okay, I'm writing it down. That sounds good.
One of my favorite podcasts, the 2 hosts, one of them is currently writing a book on creativity, and so like sprinkled into episodes they'll have like a couple paragraphs of a conversation about like, hey, this book you're writing about creatives, how does this play in? And it's just interesting as they're going down the research hole on how to work with creatives, it's like, oh, they're very different than everyone else.
Oh, they are. And I've led multiple creative teams. I work for an anti-human trafficking organization, and my team is the communications marketing creative team. And let me tell you, I love them all dearly, but they've got a lot of ideas and we got to rein them in.
We're a different breed.
So since you brought up now that you work at 2 companies so far, what does an average day in the life look like for you?
That's a great question. Each day I pick a theme for the day. And that's not like as probably mystical and whimsical as it sounds. No, it's either an admin day, a creative day, or a meeting day. And so that depends on everything. It depends on my workout in the morning, what kind of workout I'm doing, what I need, kind of breakfast I need, what I'm wearing for the day. All of that depends on what that day is labeled. So my admin days are sweatpants, and I am on the couch all day, Gossip Girl playing in the background, and I am answering emails, sending out pitches, doing all of that, editing videos. A creative day, I have my makeup on, day like today, and I am very focused on being in the mind space of what it looks like to keep moving forward and planning, strategizing, all of that, as well as recording videos. And then my meeting day is when I stack all my meetings. And so within that, I also am getting my doctorate right now. So having very thematic days are important. I take one rest day every single week without fail. My Saturdays are a Sabbath, and I have to have that day to look forward to, but also to recover. And then every other day is grinding. Usually I'm up by 6:30 and asleep by 10, and it's a grind all day long, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
I really like that framework. I'm in a season of kind of refining what does my morning routine look like? How am I showing up for work in a way that I feel good about, that I'm excited to actually show up for work? And having themes to a day is very appealing to me. The way you just described having buckets and containers definitely clicks, does something for my brain.
I have a follow-up though. How far in advance do you label the themes?
My planning meeting for Sunday. So I sit down and plan my week out. So I do a monthly meeting at the beginning of every month, and then obviously my big year review, but every single week on Sunday, go to church. I plan out all of my outfits for the week based on my theme, because I'm mental fatigue. I'm not making decisions about that. And then I go through my planner and I plan out every single day. So if there is a day that usually I don't have meetings, but it's a little meeting heavy, I'll move anything I can to make sure that each day is thematic correctly.
Love that. All right, next question. Who are you learning from right now?
That is such a great question. I think that there are several people on social media, but the one that is really, really thriving right now, and I feel like I'm just constantly learning from, her name is Ellie Fraser. And she does social media audits. She's very open about her finances on social media. And she talks about how she's gone there. And so her goal for the year was 100K on social. And she met that goal last week. So,
Dude, how
yeah,
cool is that?
like absolutely killing it in the game. And she gives every single moment away and is not holding anything back. That girl is phenomenal. And I think that she is someone that anyone who's in the social media world can learn.
I'm going to look her up. Love that.
Her.
Very cool.
Really cool. Also just really like people that talk about numbers, because not
love
enough
it.
people do.
She breaks down every stream of income.
Big fan of that. Very cool.
I now just want a color-coded chart, and I'm now going to go and look this up.
I know.
The last question we have is, do you have any questions for us?
I would love to know, for you guys specifically, what is going well on social media for your business? And you mentioned running a business with also brand collaborations. What does that look like for you guys right now?
Yeah, I guess I'll be answering this one because I manage our socials. I'm going to break this into 2 parts. I've actually been really, I guess I'll start with what I'm enjoying, because there tends to be a direct correlation between what I enjoy creating and putting out on socials and what does well. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So what I'm enjoying creating on the business side of things right now is I've gotten back into the groove of things, sharing story sets, which I have not done in a very long time. Thought pieces that have to do with why our business started in the first place, the clients that are dream clients that we love working with who happen to have ADHD. And that just has been such a great unlock lately. And so I've been having a lot of fun with that. It's something I used to really enjoy 5-6 years ago, and content has shifted so much that it kind of fell off, didn't apply anymore, felt too time consuming. And so it's been this nice surprise just in the past week to bring that back and have fun with it again. Now, as far as the brand partnership collaboration side of things, I'm doing a series right now about leveling up my life / our life. The first few are me specific. And I've been teaming up with a couple of local businesses for that. So last week I teamed up with a thrift store that I really enjoy in Indianapolis, and they carry a lot of the name brands that I like. And so I reached out to them, pitched them on my idea. They got back to me and they were just all in right away, which I was very excited about. And I've built the relationship with them over time, which I think helped a lot. And then this week I partnered with my hairstylist to do a summer chop. So that was really fun. And both of those are just, yeah, I love it. It feels so much lighter. But both of those content pieces are reels. So the way I'm doing a series is they're reels, and anyone I reach out to do a collab, I say it's going to be a collab post, and this is what I'm looking for. This is the idea. Are you interested in talking more about it? And that's worked really well. I have another one lined up in the next couple of weeks that I'm excited for people to see, and have a couple ideas of other people that I want to reach out to. So we'll see what else comes of it.
I think the other thing that I'll possibly add in there is, like, as business owners, what we've found, like, the other like niche that works is our tech stack effectively. So like the software companies that we work with that we would already organically share with people, they make great partners as well.
That's so good, especially in the moving world of all the new features that you can highlight because they're adding AI in. Everybody wants to showcase that right now. So if you're able to integrate that into your content, massive win.
Exactly. Well, on that note, how can everyone connect with you, find you on socials if they want to see your content for themselves?
Absolutely. It is Belle M. Grubb across the board. I'm on pretty much everywhere, pretty active. And yeah, I would love to connect. And if you're coming from this podcast, DM me and we can chat. I'd love to.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for this, Belle. We had the best time just chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Seriously,
You're awesome. And I have to say, I really appreciate your heart behind it, and your personal approach is very human first, and it stands out. So I love it.
Thank you so much. Yes, you guys are a gem to talk to, always so full of wisdom, and honestly, just the best interviewers in the entire world. So I'm grateful.
Wow, set a high bar. Thank you. All right, guys, thanks for listening to the end. Go check out Belle. You heard her socials. We'll drop it in the description for you too for easy access. If you enjoyed this episode, would you please leave us a review? We would love that. It would make our entire day. Or we found out that you can leave comments on Spotify, so you can also do that. That would also make our day. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.